early afternoon for some of you folks. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Selena with Wilcom America. I'm going to be administering the demonstration today on the Embroiderystudio 3.0. We will be going over mainly the new features of the Embroiderystudio 3.0. Some would be new features for old customers and or for new customers looking to cross over to Wilcom. We welcome you and hope for you to join the team. We'll show you just the power of the Wilcom functionalities and capabilities inside of that. Again, and we'll go in to show some of the differences with the CorelDRAW and the Wilcom integration as well, with that seamless integration. I'm just going to hold off a few more seconds here, guys, just to give a few more folks time to log in here. Over to the right-hand corner or to the actual menu control of your GoToMeeting, there is a questions tab. There's a chat tab. If you actually expand that questions tab, you can type in or chat any questions you have. We have Clark Collins and Teresa Pierre on standby to answer and chat back with you with any questions you have throughout my presentation. If there are questions that maybe visually you'd like to see, I'll see if I can go over some of those at the end of the presentation. If you have any one-off specific questions, you can also contact us directly offline. Everyone is in a mute-only mode or listen-only mode. So again, questions tab to the right. Just go ahead and hit that plus sign to expand it, and you can ask questions from there. Okay. Okay, guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Again, we're going to go over the Embroiderystudio 3.0 Wilcom Elements 3. Just want to go over some basics and specifics with the new software, kind of what we're bringing to you, what we've addressed. Again, just some of the things that we will go over in this demonstration today. First off, we now have new modular products and elements. So again, build your own custom package. I'm really excited about this one. We now have elements, or also known as a la carte options, where you can kind of build and buy what you need as you need them, versus paying, a $10,000 or $8,000 upgrade charge or surcharge to go up to a higher functionality level that may have some of those additional specialty add-on features you were looking for. We have an enhanced Wilcom ENV ecosystem, so that's again part of the whole build as you grow element. We have a revamped user interface, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. Enhanced Wilcom Corel experience, so a much smoother, seamless integration for those of you that aren't Wilcom customers looking to us. We are the only exclusive integrated partnership or integrated software with CorelDRAW. So it's literally two birds with one stone. The CorelDRAW platform would be a full working graphic suite sitting right on top of the Wilcom. So again, that would include that CorelDRAW X6 and all of the features comes with that. New embroidery lettering, so we'll touch on some of those new lettering fonts that we've actually added, the lettering functionality and some lettering control that we're giving you. We've added some new bling lettering and fonts for those of you that do the rhinestone and bling. We have new digitizing features, and again, I will touch on some of those for you as well. A lot of things have been made standard now across the board for you. So again, you level 1 customers, even older lettering and editing customers looking to upgrade. You're going to gain a lot of features in that and just coming to your standard level. We have many quality improvements, so improvements from the overall conversions really have been addressed. Plugging in fabric settings, taking it from Corel to Wilcom, and those have been tremendously improved upon. New virtual decoration element. I will touch on that too a little bit later, but that is going to be a new feature for you top of the line folks, and it is an optional element to buy for standard customers. TrueSizer web app. So the TrueSizer is the free viewer or formatter where you can resize your stitch files, format that to your particular machine file, and we now have it iPhone, iPad, and Android compatible. So that is a nice new feature that we're going to bring to you. So just to touch on the modular products and elements, and then Embroiderystudio Designing has now replaced what used to be the ES Level 1. So all of you Level 1 customers, kind of regardless of the versions, you're going to update or be coming to your designing standard level. This is your professional series level. New customers looking to trade in or coming into the Wilcom, you're going to be at the same level, Embroiderystudio Designing, which is our standard level. Again, we have made a lot of things standard in that level that only used to be an upcharge in the past. We have 18 optional elements, again, to replace what we used to have as a level 2. Again, those of you that wanted level 3 but just didn't want to pay that $15,000 upcharge or price tag, you can now just buy those individual elements from there. We have now, again, the True Size or free download and free web light. Multi-level break apart. This is very nice. So this allows for you to break apart existing letters or fonts to retain them as a lettering property. So you no longer will have them breaking apart as shapes, somewhat giving you different trims or jumps, things like that. You have to go in and kind of tweak in the previous versions of Wilcom for the break apart lettering. So I'll touch on that a little bit for you. Very new feature that I'm really excited about. This is really huge because this is going to be standard across the border for all Embroiderystudio standard designing customers. We now have automatic bordering or offsets on letters, fonts, designs, you name it. So literally we can make any font to color. That would be Wilcom fonts and true type fonts alike. Some new digitizing features that we have, advanced offset outlines. This allows for you to do up to 11 lines with individual properties that you can do click of a button. That is an element, again, for anyone outside of the level 3, so standard customers. That is one of those elements that you can look into buy. I will jump into a few of those elements here later as well, just to show you kind of the top sellers that we have. Simple offset, so that's your single kind of standard outline. That's going to be standard for Embroiderystudio. Deco Studio customers, this is actually an element or an option that you can look into buying if you would like. Calligraphy stitching, this is a new feature built into the freehand. Again, the freehand is one of those elements for standard for level 3 customers. So I'll touch into that a little bit. Step repeat offsets, where you rarely click of a button can duplicate an object just by right-clicking and driving to duplicate and Control-D. So really quick short keys to duplicate and kind of offsetting the existing design. Slanted zigzag underlays. So with specific underlay settings now, guys, you can actually change the angle setting and angle control. So if you want your underlay stitch to be perpendicular to your cover stitch, you can now do that for specific underlays. Backstitch and stem stitch. This is just giving a quick snapshot of that automatic offset. Again, the one single line standard in Embroiderystudio Designing, all the standard levels, available for multiple offsets, multiple offlines, and I'll touch on that here on our demo, multiple offlines for elements. This is an example of the freehand stitching with that calligraphy, which is a new feature that I touched on earlier. Again, freehand, one of those list of elements there, and we'll touch on that. This is giving you a snapshot of what the zigzag underlays can look like for you. So giving, again, that different angle control on your underlay settings. Virtual decoration, really excited about this one. This one is like seeing is believing. So virtual decoration is an element for all standard users. New feature that all top-of-the-line users will get, level 3 top levels. This allows for you to make your PNG or your output of your TrueView image or your actual stitch file up to a 600 DPI on that. So this is going to be the sharpest, cleanest clarity possible. Literally, you could take a 50,000 stitch design, print it as a PNG file in 600 DPI, print it on a T-shirt if you do direct to garment, and literally, I mean, you would have to walk close on it and touch it to know that it's not stitches. Very, very nice. Even if you're doing output for cataloging or any type of, TrueView image or output from there. Instead of doing your capture bitmap, which is regularly at like a 72 DPI, you can now do virtual decoration, which makes it up to 600. I can zoom in really tight, close niche on that, and it's going to be as clean, sharp quality as possible. Again, so just kind of going over some of those quality improvements. We have the improvement on the auto fabric assistance. So the plugging in the type of fabric you're working with. Based on that in your machine setting, we have overall improvement on that to give you the proper output for your underlay setting, your stitch density, pull compensation. It's all going to be there for you. Advanced bitmap to embroidery. So this is a smart design. Top-of-the-line customers have this. Some of you, maybe level 2 customers, have this feature. This has been very vastly improved. It is an element for existing standard design customers. This allows for you to convert a bitmap, PNG, and or even a vector image on the Wilcom side in objects or in an entire design. So this is somewhat different than doing the overall Corel to Wilcom full conversion, and that it allows for you to itemize a little bit better on objects and sections that you want to digitize. Very nice feature, so I'll touch on that for you. Better quality TrueView images. We can now also TrueView or do a sew out, a sample sew out in TrueView form. So really nice to see that. This is just an example of how we can, again, with that element, take a bitmap right to an embroidery image. Showing, again, just a snapshot of the overall wizardry setting of the fabric assistant, which, again, has been improved upon. So plugging in your fabric and your machine setting. This is a little bit of what we're going to go over today. We're going to cover the new user interface. We have the offset standards, but I will go over that as well. That is your automatic bordering, automatic letter bordering. Lettering break apart, so multi-level break apart. Again, we can break apart letters, retain them as a lettering property. It won't go to a shape for us necessarily in that initial break apart stage. Improve true type font conversion. Better quality conversion, so better overall quality conversion from the Corel to Wilcom experience. The new underlay control with the different degree settings and control types of angles. Smart branching, really, really excited about this one. This one is going to be standard across the board. This was something, again, only in our $15,000 level. This is going to allow for you to branch same color objects that touch or kind of have a branching sew sequence to sew at once. So I'm going to show an example of like a checkerboard, black and white checkerboard, and how we can branch those objects that are same color to sew at one time to eliminate trims. This is going to be a really good friend to you. We'll touch on some of those elements. Like I said, we have a few to choose from. I'm going to go over the most popular ones. Any additional questions you have offline for other specific elements, you can certainly give us a call. We can go over that. But this is just kind of a snapshot of that new Wilcom ecosystem. So if you are looking at the professional kind of red series, you're going to be in that Embroiderystudio designing field, which will come with all of the kind of standard features. I'll touch on the standard features of what you get, and then I'll touch on some of these elements. These are the additional a la carte elements, if you will, from there. So we're going to go in here and let's go and show some of the features here. Let's jump right to it. So here's my Wilcom home screen. And this is very nice now in that we have one central location for the wizard template. So again, plugging in the fabric that you're working with. And you can use, you can opt to not use this feature, guys. So this is a feature you can turn on or off simply by ticking or deselecting that. So let's say we're going to work with pure cotton. We also have the fabric background swatch and or the product of what you may be designing on. So this looks really nice from a professional standpoint. We can plug in the fabric swatch background image. We can colorize that image to look like the exact garment or fabric that they would be ordering from you or designing you'd be designing on. We can even switch it to a pre-built product. We have pre-built polos, piquets, hats, caps, you name it. So maybe I'm ordering a Gildan 2000 shirt or Gildan 200 shirt. If I want it to look like my Gildan 200, I can simply colorize it accordingly to look like my preferred product that my customer's ordering from me. And this is something I may just turn on at the initial end of the design or kind of when I'm finished with my design here. But it looks really nice. You can do this in a capture approval sheet, which I will highlight at the end of this demonstration here to show you how we can send to our product with the design on it. You can also customize this product, so you can actually browse or pull in your own product. So let's jump right to it. I'm going to jump over to the lettering, which is really what Wilcom is known for. We have over 165 digitized fonts ready to go for you. We have a preview drop-down of the font, so you can actually see it in the wording that you selected or typed in. So I'm just going to go in and let's do a basic block font here, I guess, just to start. Okay, so when we're talking about editing and just the quality of fonts, I mean, that's a big thing for us, you know, in our world. We really want clean, quality fonts. We want the control to manipulate and change those fonts if need be, and we just want it to be a really easy usability experience, user-friendly experience there. So in doing that, let's go into our reshape mode. I want to highlight the control that you get of Wilcom. Before I kind of go into the editing node, I want to highlight just the built-in intelligence of Wilcom as well. If you notice here on this Block 2 font in particular, my curvature points are sitting below the baseline, and my straight points are going to sit right at that baseline, maybe even a hair above it. And this is Wilcom's built-in intelligence allowing for push and pull of a machine. Every machine does it. Not every software usually compensates for it. So Wilcom literally will have that built-in compensation for every single font. So every baseline will change. But this is to allow for you to have that clean sew out every time. Sometimes we've seen other softwares and we sew it out. It looks fine on screen, but when we sew it out, it's a little wobbly to the eye, and we're kind of turning our head like, it's a little off. And maybe we're going in here and kind of moving these particular letters up and down. Never going to be the case with Wilcom. Always going to allow for the push and pull comp of the machine. So each individual diamond highlighted in pink would allow for me to control that particular letter. Once I left click and select that letter, it'll highlight in blue, and it would allow for me a real-time control. Just to highlight again, the patented processor, we are known for our processor, so we don't have to necessarily resize in 5, 10%, or cap out at 20% resize in Wilcom. We can take something that's left chest and make it jacket back. Our stitch processor will process those stitches real time, click of a button. We're not going to get weird jump stitches or weird kind of distortions there in our design. So if you pay attention to the bottom left-hand corner, the stitch processor is constantly resizing for me, constantly recalculating. In this particular O here that I'm going to kind of resize or play with, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different control corner point types. I can skew this letter right there on that baseline there, or rotate it, I'm sorry. I can actually widen the letter, automatically rekerning the rest of my letters. I can overall, to scale, size that letter. Again, stitch count, if you pay attention, constantly working to your favor. I can elongate that letter. And I can skew that letter left or right, again, for a real-time change. If I wanted to do some note edit on this particular letter, really easy, again, real-time. Our circular points or circles would represent the curvature node or curvature outline. I can easily, simply left-clicking, I can easily insert a square node, which would indicate a corner point. If you also notice, we have the protractor degree of the stitch angles, which, again, can be changed real-time. I'm going to go ahead and just turn off my split satin. So that's what, if you see that kind of little split weird stitch, really the industry kind of argues 7, 8 millimeters. You need to go ahead and split that satin. For demo purposes, I'll go ahead and turn that off just so we can take a look at the underneath stitch here. So again, I want to highlight another just built-in intelligence of the program. If you've noticed, because I kind of have some weird, kind of almost perpendicular angling coming in with my stitches here, if you notice, the software automatically allowed for your short and long stitches. So we have multiple spacing, we have a varied density, which, I mean, density is really what sets good embroidery from bad embroidery. If you notice, the density spacing that I have here is not the same density spacing that I have here. Not other softwares, not a lot of other softwares actually allow for that. Or you have to go in and kind of manipulate too much in order to change the different density spacings per section, whereas Wilcom would do a real-time change for that for you every time. So again, I don't have to tell it that I want short stitches. It automatically compensates for that and would automatically go back real time as I resize and kind of change that, if you will. Okay, so really just want to highlight that. That's where we see puckering, or where you could literally take your nail and kind of pop that stitch, or you do one wash and forget about it. It's you know, it's no good anymore. So that's kind of good embroidery versus bad embroidery. It all boils down to density and spacing. That's really one of the key factors there. So kind of touching on some of the other basic editing features, we have multiple baselines to choose from. So just when you're talking about lettering baselines, we have multiple. We have the freehand baseline. We have a fixed baseline. So if you're only working inside of a certain parameter, you don't want to go outside of that, we can fix and lock the setting of baseline. We can do an arc baseline. And again, it's giving me, based on that sizing, it's going to do my baseline for me. I can set also the depth of which I even want that baseline to kind of be controlled upon. I can resize my O back down. And we're always still going to have that real-time control. Stretch my baseline there. Again, if I want to just pull that arc down again a bit. We have the circle baseline. So again, real-time change. I want to stretch these letters maybe across the baseline a little bit more. I can easily do that. We have the any shape baseline. This one's really exciting because you can literally digitize your baseline. So if I come in, let's say, and we're going to say any shape, and I'm going to click on create text, and literally I'm inputting my kind of curvature versus corner nodes. Right click would be a curve node. Left click would be a corner node. Hit enter. And again, it literally will follow that baseline. So I think I can stretch these letters right across that baseline, and this was that real-time baseline that I digitized. If I wanted to edit that baseline, maybe I meant for this to be a circle or a curvature node instead of a square, I can do that and just easily insert that node. Same rules apply for any resizing, kerning. They will all follow and stay on that baseline. Really nice feature. So I like that freehand baseline. Also from there, you will get the fixed line vertical. So we can have a vertical baseline and a fixed perimeter, or a free line vertical. So it's kind of an infinite spacing there. Okay. So jumping back over here to the font, next thing I want to just jump in and highlight would be the automatic offsets or the automatic letter bordering. Really excited about this feature. Let's take this back to a basic freehand, guys. Sorry about that. So this is huge. I mean, customers always want two-color fonts. Wilcom included along with some of our other counterparts. I mean, realistically, we only gave you a fraction of fonts that were quote-unquote two-color. Whereas now with this feature, you can again make any font a two-color font. So I'm going to do a couple different styles of fonts here and a couple different outlining methods of that. So let's do a serif. And then we have a book script. And I'm going to stretch that book script out just a hair to give us some room and control there to do that, bordering or outlining there. Okay, so click of a button. Let's jump first to our block 2. We're going to come over to our outlines and offsets. And I'm going to touch on the advanced create offsets. That's where you can create, again, up to 11 offset lines. That's an element for standard users, standard for the top of the line users. I'll touch on that here later on. First off, I just want to show the basic. Everything I'm showing you now is going to be in your basic standard designing level, guys, and above, obviously. So first, part of the problem that we had before, and let me just click out of this and just to highlight you this a bit. Part of the problem before, and again with other softwares, if you were to do an automatic bordering or outline, it actually read each letter or the object or columns of each letter as a separate object. So it would have done like a 4-part outline, if you will, crossing over each outline, even our object outline here on our W. Whereas now we have welded offsets or welded lines that we can create that intersect. So I can create individual outlines on all outlines created. It would be full outlines. So let's say we'll do input C, which is a satin border stitch. So I'm going to do a satin border outline. Let's make it red. Click OK. No problem. That pull compass is super high. We can go ahead in real time again, change that or update that. But literally click of a button, done. We even have the corner control point types as well. So if we wanted to do like miter, cap corners, lap corners, you name it, we can control that. So this individual corner, I just want to kind of turn off this feature. Again, I've seen some other softwares that give you no control. That's, again, just what it would kind of plot out and give you just algorithms in a conversion. However, standard across the board, we give you miter corner control, cap corner control, and or lap corner control. Really nice feature. We would probably still be clicking around that W right now, let alone clicking a button and being done with it, right? Okay, let's come down to our serif font. And we're going to do a different object type outline. We can do multiple object types outline. Again, standard in the designing level, you'll get a backstitch standard outline, input C. It'll skip over to run stitch because the motif run is an element. And then you'll have the stem stitch and triple run stitch you can do with that standard feature. So let's come back and do, let's do a triple stitch. Let's do a stem stitch. Okay. Again, just giving us that real-time control. If I wanted to, you know, even change that easily, I mean, click of a button, guys. We just click in between these. Let's do a back stitch. There's our back stitch. Oops, I selected the other one. I did that one. There we go. If I want to come in now, let's do our, let's do kind of our serif. Oh, we already did our serif. And so let's do our script letters here. I'm going to select that. Let's do triple stitch, triple run on this. Again, click of a button. And again, you have that full just editing control, editing change from there. So that's standard across the board. That's your automatic bordering lettering feature. Again, on any font that you can, any font that you have built in your software, you can use that on. Multi-level break apart, let's touch on that a bit. So that's where it literally would allow for me to break apart the letters and retain them as a lettering property. So I'm going to pull up my color object list here. So on our color object list, we see the A would represent the object type as a letter. I can simply just right-click and click break apart. And it's a multi-level break apart. So I had one line, 2 words. It broke my 2 words apart. So now I have individual control, just click a button on those 2 words. From here, I can break it apart again, multi-level. So I want to break this apart to individual letters. Again, controlling and full control over those letters. If I wanted my C to show first for whatever reason, I could do that. Okay, so that's that multi-level break-apart lettering. Before, without this break-apart ability, if we were to break apart, for instance, this W, we would have gotten our input A. So now it's no longer a quote-unquote letter, if you will, retained as a lettering property. It's now more or less a shape. And then you have to deal with your trims and doing your connectors and things of that sort. Whereas this would, again, just retain it so you can have those individual controls. Okay. Sorry, guys, just make sure that we're getting all the questions answered. Again, guys, left-hand corner would be a questions tab that you can ask questions to our colleagues on the line as I'm kind of going through this demonstration here. Okay, just wanted to touch on, I touched on earlier in the presentation, just the usability, their new user interface, just friendlier user interface. So this is from a learning curve standpoint. I'm really excited about this one too. This is going to allow for you to have a full tooltip of every single tool on the toolbar. So literally I can just kind of hover my cursor right over that icon let it sit, and it'll give me that full description of what that tool does. Hitting F1 then takes me to kind of a pre-built soundless video Camtasia. This is separate from the user manual. So we're giving you lots of resources here just to kind of get up to speed and hit the ground running with the software. Really excited about this one. So giving you, again, just that kind of visual setup. And that's highlighting one of the curved fill elements there. That was the Florentine fill and liquid fill. That is one of those elements, just a sidebar on that one. Kind of coming down the list here, let's jump right to a conversion. So we talked about a little bit in the beginning, the better quality conversion. I'm going to jump right to Corel, then I'll come back over to Wilcom and go over some of the standard features from a digitizing standpoint. So simply, again, some of you have called and said, or we've talked to you, and you already have a version of Corel and want to know, can you just buy the Wilcom separately? The question would be no, and for good reason. It's literally a special version of Corel, if you will. This Corel Draw, I see, has the Wilcom toolbar built right on top of it. So it allows for that convert tab. It allows for me to import images and import graphic, and I can actually convert it right from the Wilcom, right from the Corel side, again, with full Corel Draw graphics from there. So I'm going to jump in first. Let's first do, we can convert with Corel as it is a graphic program. You can do a JPEG, a bitmap. If it is a JPEG or bitmap, it would have to be converted into an EPS vector file, okay, in order for it to have that conversion to retain or take over on the Wilcom side. So we would do a trace bitmap on that. So I'm going to pull in an image. Let's do, I'm going to actually pull in my robot dude head, and this is a JPEG image. And if you're ever stuck to know if it's a JPEG or not, because customers can send you, AI files or PDF, and they say, oh, it's already ready, it's vectored. The gray box is going to tell it right in CorelDRAW that it's not. If it has a gray box around it, it's not vectored, and or if the pixels don't give it away, so the little squares and pixels. Again, the needle penetration, the software just doesn't know where to tell you where to put that needle, where to put the needle there. So we need to go ahead and vector this image. So utilizing Corel's trace bitmap, very user-friendly, and Corel has made huge improvements in this feature as well in this new version. We're going to do a clip art outline trace. So this is my before, and this is my after. So we've just a click of a button made this an EPS or vectored image. Okay, so just to show the two, that's my before. There's my after. Apples and oranges, much cleaner. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of our before. I want to also highlight some of the, again, just improvements on the conversion. So in conversions, not only are we talking in designs, we're talking in the lettering, open type, true type font conversion. So I'm going to come in, let's use an open type font. Again, this is not a Wilcom digitized font. This is an open type font out of CorelDRAW. Okay, so I literally just typeset my font on the screen. I'm going to now select my entire design. I'm not going to do anything to it. I don't have to worry about the sizing necessarily so much up front as Wilcom is object-based, and I can resize that again pretty much infinitely on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and just click Convert. And voila, this is what it gave us. So, guys, I mean, if it can do, I would say if it can do anything over half the job for me, I'm sold, I'm gained. I mean, I can, again, we're giving you all the user tools to edit, to reshape, resize as you see fit. I mean, it's really infinite, and this didn't do a bad job. Even from here, I really want to highlight, we'll just turn the auto split off just for demo purposes. From here, I really want to highlight the intelligence. Notice how it removed the overlaps. Okay, so when we talk about graphics world and even from a vector standpoint, it's generally built with so many layers that other softwares generally retain those layers. So I call it bulletproof embroidery, where it would have sold that entire black background and it would have sold my face on top of that. So it would have given me two layers, just starting to have puckering and just cardboard there. That's not what we want. So as you see, it automatically removed that overlap for me. I have a real-time change or control of the stitch angle itself. of any note editing that I would like to do from there. If I wanted to go ahead and just delete that altogether. Maybe I want to make his face a little bit more Joker-like. Okay, real-time control. Let's pay attention now, just even notice the lettering. Again, I mean, we always suggest use the Wilcom fonts letters first if you can help it, but we're not handcuffing you to that. If you notice, this was an open type font. Clicking in my reshape mode, it now also recognizes it quote unquote as if it were almost like a Wilcom font. So I still have that full real-time resizing ability. I mean, it did a nice job at my turning satin stitches on an open type font. When I'm in my object property, it also, again, would retain that as a font. So it sees that even though it was an open type font, my lettering here. And I can easily, again, break that apart in my multi-sections, just like I did before in my Wilcom font. Okay. So all baselines apply, all editing applies, all editing rules apply from there. Okay, so that's showing a basic feature that you get, again, just converting a JPEG bitmap, and then you would have to do that trace bitmap without the add-on element, auto-digitized bitmap, which I'm going to highlight here next. I'm kind of going to jump to one of these elements, guys, because they kind of coincide with each other. But without that auto-digitized element, you would have to go through that step of converting the bitmap or JPEG into a vector and then into the Wilcom. Okay. Without that feature, or I'm sorry, or with the element feature here, we can actually import a graphic on the Wilcom side. I don't have to utilize Corel at all. So let's pull in a feature here. Let's see. Some pre-built features here. I've been doing this one. It's really fun. Let's just show this one here. So we have our little chickie here, a little Easter egg chickie from Easter. And this is a JPEG file or a PNG file. It's pixelated, okay? It's a bitmap, and it was made probably, it has tons of colors in it because it's a bitmap. The pixels, again, the squares, as like even the pink and black start to kind of fade into each other, when you get really tight knit on that, you're going to have pixels, and that's going to make really a third color versus just pink and black. So let's go through and show that smart design. Again, existing Wilcom customers, level 1 and up, this is a feature you have, vastly improved in this new 3.0 version, so we'll touch on this. We now have an improved bitmap preparation, which is what we have to do. Again, it was 133 colors just from those pixels, whereas realistically I only see really 6 colors: black, dark pink or regular pink, fuchsia, light pink, white, yellow, brown, 6 colors, but it was 133. The system automatically reduced it to 17. We also give you kind of that color allocation list here where I see that, again, there's 17 colors and I really only need 6. So we can go on and actually hold our control key down, and we're going to select all of our light pink. We're going to merge them. So we're starting to reduce that bitmap. We're doing a reduction in colors. We're going to select our dark pinks. Let's merge those. Let's go ahead and select these 2 pinks. We're going to merge those. And we start seeing our design kind of, our colors be reduced there. Merge our white. And then anything in the brown tan family, we're going to merge that one. And now we have, let's do our brown and tan. We'll merge that one. So now we have our 6 colors, our brown, white, light pink, dark pink, black, yellow. Click OK. And looks like it didn't do too much, but it did reduce that colors again from 133 to 6. So 2 options with this auto-digitized bitmap element that I really love. Actually 3 options. We can do an individual section or object, if you will, conversion. We can do an entire conversion just as we did from that Corel to Wilcom. But again, remember, this is retaining it as a bitmap. We're not doing any vectorizing on this one. And or if this was a vector file or EPS file, we could, again, import it as a vector or EPS image, and I could literally point, click, and generate stitches inside of objects versus, again, the entire design. So let's come in here. We're going to go to our tatami fill with holes. So it's actually going to give me a fill with holes on that. I'm literally, each grid point it gives me as I kind of float my cursor across, simply just left click on that, automatically going to stitch out my object there. Same here with our body. Again, I did it with the hole. So D as in David is dropping the image off screen. We start seeing our image perform. I'm going to come back here and let's do a turning satin stitch for my feet. Okay, again, D as in David, going to drop that off screen for me. And this is just intelligence of Wilcom. I really want to highlight on this because the proof is in the feet that it appropriately did it in the 3 sections. Okay, we have our 3 sections, sew, sequence, different angles, as it should. We didn't give it to you as one fill stitch or kind of one angle stitch fill on the legs, one object. Okay. So that's highlighting how we can do it one by one, literally individual settings from there. I'm going to come back a bit here. Let's come back and bring our image on screen. And now I want to highlight just the overall smart design that we can do. So we can literally just select that bitmap, again, reduced image, and I'm going to select smart design all at once, converting it from a bitmap to embroidery, click of a button. We give you this, again, sequence and color allocation list. So for my pink, I want my pink to be fill, so the fill stitches. My black, which is going to be my background, I want to omit that. I don't want to sew a patch. I'm going to say omit my black. My brown, which I actually have made as a Wilcom black, so it'll be black instead of brown, but those would be my details, my eyes, the beak, the legs. I want to keep that details, which if we look down here kind of as a key, it will make that a satin stitch, and I want this to be a satin. So I'm just going to simply say OK. Done. Again, D as in David drops that off. This is probably one of the #1 sellers that we have. This is your auto-digitized bitmap, folks. For everyone that is not a top-of-the-line Wilcom user, this would be an optional element for you. Okay. And again, real-time control, same resizability as if any other thing. Okay, so I can change those angles, all real-time control. Okay, I'm sorry guys, I'm going to speed up a bit here. I didn't want to lapse 2 lots over. I'm going to go over some of these basic digitizing tools, again, for some of you new customers, maybe even old customers, how some of these have been improved upon. So kind of first moving down the list, we went over our Reshape Edit Node tool. Complex Fill, this is your Complex Fill tool. You may know it as just a basic fill stitch, so literally just right-clicking is going to be my curve point, left-click for corner point. I'll just do a weird shape here, hit Enter. And then it's asking me my angle point. This is always going to be your prompt screen right below the stitch count. So if you're ever stuck, always look down there. Okay, so it's asking my stitch angle, done. So we see that was my stitch angle. If I wanted to, again, real-time change that, we can do that. That's complex fill. We also have Input A. Input A, you may know it as maybe a column stitch in other softwares, but Input A allows for your, what mainly digitizers would use if they're digitizing like small letters, anything below 1/4 of an inch or so you want to get digitized. This is the type of tool that they're utilizing to do so. So I can literally input my angles as I digitize. So if I want to start kind of curving around here, again, right-click for curve points, left-click for corners. Is why I'm not a digitizer. That's a sad example of you, but we get the gist of it. Coming into our reshape mode, we can see that we have, again, that real-time control over the angles. Those are those angles that I actually literally just input. The beauty with Wilcom, not only can we control angles, we can input angles after the fact. Holding my control key down and simply clicking on the border outline, I can insert an angle. Again, just holding that control key down will prompt or populate that protractor, and you just simply left-click on that border. And you can start to input multiple angles from there. So that's Complex Fill, Input A. Wilcom brought a tool to the market some years back now. I really love this tool. This is Fusion Fill. Fusion Fill is the marriage of those 2 tools in one, if you will. So I can literally plot my points. Then I'll do curvature points, right-click, left-click for straight. And I can input a hole. So maybe I'm doing kind of a weird funky D here. That's my entry point, my exit point. And now, huge time saver, I can plot my angles at the very end. I don't have to worry about the right click, left click. Hit Enter, done. Huge time saver. So that's that. Fusion fill, which is the marriage of input A and complex fill. These are all standard inputs, guys, that you would get in that professional designing series. Just jump down on the list here quickly. You get your basic run stitch, your triple run stitch, your back stitch. Okay. Motif run. This is an element, and I'm going to touch on this one a bit for you. Let's pull a basic circle fill on pattern here. Okay. So with my motif run, we have over 120 motif patterns, and you can choose them here. So if I want to do, maybe I want to do, let's do the one that it's on actually right now. I can snap to curve with anything. So if I even wanted to, talking about digitizing, those previous tools I just used, again, with the right click and left click inputs, it will snap to curve for me on any input I have. If this was a graphic image, JPEG image, it literally would still snap to curve for me. I can actually set how large or small I want that motif to be, and it will take an effect. So that's part of the element. That is the motif element. Again, if you're an existing Wilcom customer and you have the level 1, you are going to be grandfathered into this just for your loyalty and being with Wilcom so long. So if you had the basic motif fill pattern now in your Wilcom, maybe your older Wilcom level 1, you will now be grandfathered into this motif run stitch, which was only in the level 2 or level 3 in the previous year. So it's only in that $10,000 level and up. So this is going to be a new feature just by updating it you would gain. New customers, this is one of those elements you can buy. You can look into getting the actual, if you select the motif element, you would get not only the run stitch, but you would also get motif fills. So just to show you again, so same kind of similar to the run stitch, but it would apply for a fill stitch itself. You can even control the layout and edit that real time. So maybe if I want my art to be a little bit bigger, space those apart a little bit more, and I want kind of that slant. Let's hit enter. Literally, it takes on that layout that you've edited. So that would apply for all 120 plus motifs that you have. Okay, that is again element for new customers, brand new customers that did not have the motif feature at all. And then the run stitch would be that element purchase again. It would all be included if you didn't have that feature. Let's see, kind of moving down the list here. Team names, not going to touch on this too much. This is kind of the old school technique that we did where you can stack all the names on top of each other for you. But in the Wilcom, we can make it to where you have the names in a CSV file, Excel file, okay, comma separated file would be great. You can go ahead and drop those names, copy, paste those right into this quick names pad field here. Each comma will separate the name for you. So if you had a 3-line name like John Smith out of Sydney, we would have the comma just to separate those different columns. I can add all of the names here. This is great. You're doing lab coats, jacket backs, and where you're doing, maybe hundreds of names. This also eliminates typing them out and typos and errors. So I can add all of the names here. Just click right here on the screen. Generate my stitches. And for every single name, again, if I could have a long list kind of continuing on there, all of my team names would already be stitched out. Not only from that, it's one stitch file with multiple properties. So if I wanted Mark to have a different font versus John, Jack, and William, I can easily change his font, but again, still retaining him in that one file setup. If I'm doing a design with this, maybe they're on a baseball team and I want to put a little baseball under this, I can set it to show as team names to my machine. So when I send it to show to my machine, it's automatically going to recognize that this design is a team name, and it's going to give you the options to sew this if it's a patch and or if you're sewing it with stops. So this is great when you're talking about the multi-head machine. If you have 6 heads, it's 6 heads, 1 brain. So, and without this or without having to build this up, you would have to sew, it would kind of show John, 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 Jack, 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 William, William, William. And you'd have to hoop each machine one by one and kind of wait for those names. Whereas with team names, I can hoop all my machines at once, and I can just turn on and off the heads as they're stitching out. But they're ready to go. It's lined up. So head 1 is on, so's John. Turn head 2 on, so's Jack, so forth and so forth. Again, one file, multiple properties. If I were sewing a patch, I can sew the start and end point where I kind of want to start sewing that. I can sew all my names in one hoop, even. Click of a button without kind of having to set that up. Okay, so that's team names. That is standard for Embroiderystudio users. Also standard for Studio in the new 3.0, I believe. That is a new standard update. Monogram Wizard. Just going to jump on this quickly here. We have a built-in Monogram Wizard. So literally for every single font, you can do 16 different styles of monogramming. That's even your true type fonts. I mean, you name it. Any font you have built in, the Wilcom font, you can do monogramming with now. Before, I think we had like 4 or 5 monogram fonts. So I can even control, again, the font type. I can control the letter. So simply selecting letter 1, 2, or 3 that I want to have that control over. I can do a real-time sizing change of that. I can change the color. If I wanted to rotate the baseline, the overall baseline, I could do that. Or I could overall rotate just the letter baseline, just the individual letter that I have control over. We can come and add some motif ornaments to that. So we have these basic kind of single motifs here. Or you can pick from the monogram ornament motifs. Again, I think we have like 120 of these as well to choose from. So just to kind of give you a few highlight of these. That's our 2-part motif. Sorry, let's go to monogram motif. So maybe I want to do a standard monogram motif here. We'll say OK. We want this. This is our positioning location, and I can build this. I can have multiple ornaments. If I wanted different types now for my side motifs or even corners, I can select that and do that as well. So I'm going to mirror those. I can control, again, it's locked to scale, so real-time height, and then distance from lettering even. If I wanted to come and add a border to that, I can offset that border, again, real-time. I can add 2, 3, 4 borders. Again, all with individual properties, individual control on what type. Maybe I want this one to be a motif run instead of the satin stitch. And we'll change the coloring on that one. And then border 4, maybe I want that to be a fill stitch. And then I can do a negative offset. Real time. Okay. So all built in the wizard. Really nice feature from there. Oh, let's go back to that one. We did that one a little bit too. Real time. Great. If I want to select this one, maybe I come back to it, and you can change it any time. So you don't have to worry about, kind of staying or redoing it all over again. I can easily click the button, change this back into an input C if I want it, or a satin stitch. So let's do a satin input C back to that red motif. I can come back and I say maybe my ornaments, I want them to be a little bit smaller, and I want them to be a little bit closer to my letters. I mean, it's up to you. It's real time. So I say, OK, done. It's locked, grouped, ready to go. This is a pretty large design just to show the quality of the resizing and processing pattern and stitch that we have. We're at 56,465 stitches. I'm at pretty much an 8-inch design that's jacket back. We can shrink this puppy down. Love chest, let's make it 4.5, 4 1/4. We go from 56,000 to 19,000. Every property is as clean as it was when it was a jacket back. And again, still that real-time control, the real-time change that we have. We are seamless integration. We are seamless partnership with Corel. Just as we go from the Corel to Wilcom, guys, we can go from the Wilcom to Corel. Click of a button. This was an embroidery monogram logo. This is now vector art, vector ready. I can make any change I want to that. I can do whatever I want with that. Vector image. So maybe my customer wants some stationery done or printed up on a T-shirt. I now can offer that to them, click of a button, and I can charge them for it. And all I did was click a button to do it. Okay. jump on here, and then one of the couple wrapping up here in the last few things I want to show. Applique, that is built in standard. So Applique, let's jump over to, let's do just a basic, let's do like a number for Applique just to show you. The Applique would be built in for you. Again, object-based. I make a lot of changes even in the Wilcom side versus Corel. So it's kind of picking on whatever side you want to do from there. You can work with them and do full edit and object-based editing from there. So I'm simply just going to select tag as Applique. That's all I'm going to do here. So we're going to say, let's do some lettering on this one too. We will change that one. Let's do a different type of font here. Again, just working with open type fonts, true type fonts. Do that one just for kicks. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this embroidery, and I want this to be Applique. So again, I'm going to tag it as Applique, giving me that solid line, or sometimes a dotted line will tell me dead giveaway that it's an Applique. I'm going to select my entire design, and I'm going to click Convert. And remember, I just tagged my numbers to be Applique, and my lettering I would like to be embroidery. And there we have, not a bad job. Look at the lettering on that one, guys. That's I mean, and we give you tools. What I really love about the Wilcom, we're going to give you all the tools you need. So if I wanted to do any type of editing on that, again, I still can do that. If I have a knife tool. If I want to even cut or make a knife or a slice in that stitch, I can easily do that just by making a cut in that stitch itself. Just to show you, I just want to wrap up on time here because I'm going a little bit over. Just to show you, too, again, the Applique. So I've talked to some customers that have to go through a lot of steps to do Applique. This is going to do your guide run, your tack down, frame out stitch, and cover stitch for you, all click of a button. So it literally did that Applique for me, click of a button. I don't have to fiddle with it. So just to show you that real time, let's do a quick redraw. Again, we can, new feature, we can do a redraw in TrueView, new to E 3.0. So that's my guide run and my placement stitch because I'm trimming in place. You can trim in place or select pre-cut. We have our tack down stitch, frames out, come does your cover stitching. Okay, so all that's going to be done for you real time. We even, talking about kind of that product approval, product visualizer, just from a customer end standpoint, we have pre-built-in fabrics. Andrew, you can pull in your own swatch fabric or background. So maybe if I were doing this on leather and I wanted to look like real leather, I could send that to my customer. I can turn off my tack down stitch. I can put my own cover stitch on. I mean, it's really infinite. We give you, endless control from there. So maybe I come and say, let's turn off that tack down stitch, and we're going to make my cover stitch zigzag. Maybe I want to do jagged edge. Really cool stuff we can do with it, guys. I mean, Wilcom's really infinite. This is cool. Jagged edge is cool because if you're doing anything with an animal or animalistic features, you can do real-time control of the stitch range and do one side or both sides. Really cool feature. Okay, so now from here, coming back to last up, a couple more elements I'm going to show you, then we'll wrap it up. If we have any questions, we'll try to cover that. If we have more specific one-on-one questions, we can jump on that later. So we went over the auto-digitized bitmap, which is probably one of our top 2 sellers. The other one would be open shading, open fills and shading, also known as color blending. Okay, so if you want to click of a button, blend 2 colors into one, the open shading and open fills would be the option for you. And that's going to allow for you to come in, and we're going to select on this icon here. Let me select that little corner arrow here, and then we come over to our color blending. So if maybe I'm creating like a sunset effect, I want to blend red into yellow. we give you different linear profiles to choose from. You have a top layer, bottom layer, which represents your red color, your yellow color. So I'm going to keep my yellow color. I'll keep it, maybe I'll keep it a constant. And then I'm going to blend my red into it. Click OK. Done. Click of a button. That's going to be your color blending option. Curved fills, also Florentine, liquid fill. From there, if I wanted to create kind of a contour and curved effect, I did that by creating Florentine fill. Trapunto will force that travel run to the outside. We kind of see that travel run there as we're shading. Trapunto will automatically force that to the outer line. And then we still have that real-time control of how the curvatures flow. So curved fills, this is what curved fills get you. So color blending in conjunction with curved fills is two very nice elements. These, again, guys, are elements for everyone looking at the professional standard level, top of the line customers, level 3, top levels coming into us. You're going to get all these features standard. Okay. One other tool I just want to highlight on, auto shaping or shaping tools, I believe it's listed under as. Very nice tool. Take that off. So we see our overlaps here removing. We want to go ahead and click of a button, remove those overlaps. So I'm going to come in and utilize auto shaping or shaping tools, which are an array of tools. I can select my two objects that I want to remove overlap, and I'm going to click flatten. I can set my overlap tolerance as well. So we see with it, just click of a button, remove that overlap, and set my overlap tolerance that I had it set as. Okay. Last feature I want to kind of touch on here, smart branching. So this is a standard feature, just if you're taking your notes, smart branching standard. This is a digitizer's dream tool. I'm going to, however, utilize a few elements in showing this just for kicks. So drawing tools or vector drawing tools allows for you to literally click of a button, use and draw vectors right on the Wilcom screen. I can convert any of these objects into a stitch file. So click of a button, I want to make that a fill stitch. I can do that. Done. I'm going to make a checkerboard to highlight and show the smart branching feature. So again, in doing that, we're going to do drawing tools. Instead of doing a run stitch, I'm going to do a vector poly line to create a separation of fields, if you will. Not going to be perfect here, guys, but just for... Okay. Oops. Forgot to hit enter. Sorry, guys. Let's do this real quick. That's the beauty of it. We can quickly come in here and replot this. Again, I'm utilizing drawing tools just to create my section fields. Make sure you hit enter when you're done with it. Okay, so that's plotting. Those are my drawing tools. I'm now going to utilize shaping tools. So coming back to that element shaping tools, I'm going to create a division. Click divide, and it's now literally separated those fields. Click of a button. Again, you could have done that with running stitch, but you would have to go back and delete this running stitch. Drawing tools and vector lines allow for you to do these type of creative effects without having to go back and delete that and manipulate that anytime. So just for kicks, we want to see, this is our, again, I'm highlighting the smart branching. So we have white, black, white, black. If we were sewing that, it's going to sew black trim, so our white trim, black trim, white trim, and so forth. So just for kicks to kind of see how many different objects and trims we're working with, 23 objects, 15 trims. Ouch. If we can eliminate that, trims, you know, we really want to get rid of those if we can. So I'm going to simply come in, I'm going to select by color. Let's select my black or murky green, if you will. Looks like I thought it was black. Charcoal. We're going to say OK. And you have to click on the box too. Black, OK. and then we're going to select branch. We're just simply going to right-click on that branch. It's asking me where you want to start sewing, where you want to exit. Okay, so we start seeing it's branching the objects for us. Let's go back and do our white section. Select by color, white. Okay, same deal, branch. We're going to enter here, exit here. Same deal, okay? And I just overlapped my boxes there. That's what they're going to pull for us, okay? So this is how you digitize it. But the beauty with the branching is, regardless of how you digitize, it actually will branch and sew those objects at once. So just to kind of highlight that, we went from 15 trims, 23 objects, to 9 objects, 1 trim. Click of a button really doesn't matter. Again, if I were kind of digitizing different objects and different sequential, it really doesn't matter. So smart branching, that's where it gets the name. It's going to branch those objects to sew for you without the trim. Same colored objects branched. Okay. That is standard across the board, again, in your designing feature. Designing standard, smart branching, new feature, just an updating. Okay, so we're going to try to wrap it up here, guys. I wanted to keep it under an hour for you. Sorry if I ran over a bit. We could really go all day on this. Let's see if we have any questions that we maybe have not covered here in the chat panel. If there's anything maybe specifically want to see. Let's see if we can go over anything here and take a look. Okay. All right. Let's touch on the underlay setting. I didn't get to touch on that zigzag or control of the angle underlay setting. So let's do that quickly here. I'm just going to open an embroidery object here. Let's do our head. We're going to kind of highlight 2 for 1. So first feature here, and this actually has some blending or color, so really kind of hard to highlight this one. Let's make our background a little bit darker so we can see those. Okay, so in our horse head, so our main kind of fill here that we see, we can come in and select and change that underlay setting. So if I say I wanted the tatami underlay setting, and I want it to be a 45-degree angle, you see that real time, I can change that. So again, it's different from my cover stitch. So we're creating that kind of perpendicular angle. So that's part of the underlay setting. I can even do 2, 3, multiple underlay settings. And then again, in doing that, I can change the underlay angle. So we're creating a double coverage crosshair now in that underlay. Okay. Since we're on this feature here, and just to highlight it, we have the virtual decoration just to show you that feature. Again, remember, virtual decoration is going to allow for up to 600 DPI, whereas standard output for all softwares, most softwares, 72, maybe 92 DPI capped out at. Let's just show that virtual decoration. One of 2 parts here. So we're going to come, and the virtual decoration, again, standard, top of the line. It is one of those elements. We're going to do capture virtual decoration bitmap. I'm going to take this up to a 600 DPI. We'll say OK. And let's go ahead and save this in easy folder for me to access here. I already had one saved. Let's do that. 2. Okay, so I'm outputting that now as a PNG file up to 600 DPI. Again, I can take this if I do direct to garment. I can print this off. I can print this even on stationery. It looks very cool. Again, it's going to be the highest resolution DPI possible. So we're going to come back here to horse head 2 as it was. Look at that. Clean, crisp. I can, again, zoom in really tight on this, whereas that 72 is going to be fuzzy, okay, pixelated heavily there. This is going to give you sharp, clean, quality output for it. Just to, again, highlight that conversion, going back and forth. I really love showing this one because this one just gives me the detail. This is like a stock design. I mean, you can do your stock design, CSV files, you name it, converting them back over, click of a button over to the corral, easily be done. We're going to pick up the details of the hairs, okay, the coloring there. Look at the detail there. This is creating that vector image, EPS vector image. This originally was an embroidery stock design image. Okay. Last conversion here, and then we'll be done here. And again, any other questions? Let's import an EPS vector image. I didn't get a chance to do that. I wanted to just highlight that because some of you do have those CDR files. Some of you do have those already vectored images. Let's go ahead and import one. This one's really large. We'll just highlight this one because of the detail in it, just to show that it can retain that detail, if you will. Kind of show the usability of how those vector images are generally built in layers. Okay. So we see here this is super large, so we'll shrink this down a bit. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and ungroup the design. So that I now can have that individual control. So my blue background, we're going to go ahead and delete that because I don't want to show the layers. Again, for demo purposes, I'm going to go ahead and keep the lettering, but keep in mind, anytime you get pictures, logos, things of this sort, it's not necessarily created, quote unquote, with a true font. You know, it's objects, it's pictures. If you can utilize the Wilcom font first, I would definitely do that. Because this isn't going to convert over, you know, as we would want it. That small lettering, no problem. We can always just replace that and match it up to Wilcom. We can skew it. We can make it look just as close to that, if not have that same font for sure on the other side. So I'm going to go, let's reduce this down a bit. Because again, object-based, so we can always change that on the latter side. I'm going to group this back. Typical school logo here, detailed cougar. Just going to select this. I'm not going to do anything else to it. I'm not going to delete that lettering yet. I'm just going to show the full conversions. We'll convert that. Lots of math going on there, but you know, again, if it can do 50, 70, 80, 90% of it for me, worth a little wait there. And this is what it gave us. Now again, oh, it took on my other, I forgot I still had my other horse head there. So it retained those colors that I actually had set for my horse's head. We could have it set to retain, you know, color to palette, if you will, and it would have retained that accordingly. But let's not worry about the colors. We're really worried or just talking about the overall conversion, and that's really what I want to highlight here for you guys. So just to zoom in on that, maybe we're doing the pink section for the pink cougars. But just to show you that it brought in the detailed overall each object of that design for me, or that logo. Okay, I have a real-time change on that where I can edit that. If we see here again, it also removed the overlap for me. So again, the details there. The lettering, again, we're not going to use this lettering. I would never say use this lettering. We would go in and just use our Wilcom lettering. The large letters, I'm not, you know, I'm not mad at those. Those are bigger fonts. Those are going to be maybe what's going to be on a jacket back, so we want those to be a fill stitch. And we could even have utilized the blending effect with that as well. But just to highlight that you know, this is all something that easily can be changed, edit, but just to show that overall conversion, look at the detail there, and it removed all those layers. and it was multiple layers. Multiple layers were done there. Okay. All right, guys, that looks a little weird. I should have really retained those, got rid of those other colors there. Okay. Let's see if we have any other questions here. Just to highlight now, last thing, I kind of want to save this for last. If you were on this webinar this evening, we do have a special offer for you. So I touched and highlighted on the top elements that we have, or kind of the top most important, or I guess most popular elements that we have. But everyone on the webinar we do are bringing back that promotion. Buy one, get one. So buy one of those elements. Elements range anywhere from, it's the $500 equal or lesser value. So they're $500 each. You buy them one time. So you buy one, you get one. So it's really getting $1,000 worth for $500. Okay. So that is a promotion that you have on top of any other existing promotions that you've been talking to your salesperson about. We can also apply that in addition to. Okay. Any other questions, guys, please feel free to contact our sales line. You can contact me directly, Selena White and or Kelly Fawcett. Teresa Pierre is on the line. If you have questions for any one of us, you can certainly reach out to us at this number. You can email us at softwaresales@wilcomamerica.com. Thank you so much for your time this evening. I'm sorry if I've gone over here. Just so much to show. And we look forward to talking back with you and hopefully welcome you over to the new 3.0 elements. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.